Good morning, national readers. I'm Sophie. I'm joined by Laura Webster, our news and features editor, for today's live stream. So it's going to be a really busy day, I think, Laura, so we'll just get straight to it. Let's kick off with the story on our front page. So the Scottish Government have announced a huge boost for the 2023 Indyref plans. They've announced 20 million is going towards holding the Indyref next year. So do you want to chat a little bit about that?
Sure thing. So yesterday during Kate Forbes' spending review, she didn't actually address this £20 million that's going set aside for Indyref2. We found it when we were going through the actual published version of the spending review. So it's the first kind of real tangible cash that we've seen going towards Indyref2, apart from the, I think, 11 civil servants who we know are working on the prospectus at the moment. But the Scottish Government's been pretty tight-lipped about what this money is going to be spent on. We were pushing them last night and trying to say, listen, have we got dates? Is this money going to be part of some kind of campaign? Is this just going to be for actually holding referendum and actual balloting spaces and things? But they wouldn't really tell us anything about it. But as you can imagine, the Scottish Tories and Scottish Labour have gone really, really hard on this announcement in the last 24 hours. We've got, I think, Daniel Johnson from Labour has been picking up on it, and pretty much all the Scottish Tory MSPs have been making lots of noise about it as well. They're arguing that in a cost of living crisis, we shouldn't be putting this money aside. However, if you actually look at this cash in context, it came out very recently that the Scottish Government is being forced to spend about £600 million mitigating the Tory government's austerity policies. So £20 million in amongst that doesn't really sound like that much. In fact, you could argue that it's actually a pretty good investment to try and not have to spend millions and millions and millions on stopping the effects of damaging Tory policy on Scotland. The other element of it is that it came as part of a spending review where we did see some budgets cut. So it was the budgets for the local governments, for police, justice, universities and rural affairs. Those budgets are going to fall about 8% across the board. And budgets for enterprise and promoting tourism are going to fall about 16%. Now, the reason these cuts have had to be made is because there's about a shortfall of £3.5 billion that the Scottish Government was having to deal with. And as we know, the Scottish Government doesn't have the power to borrow money in the same way that the UK government does, because we're not an independent country. So they have to use the money that they're allocated. And Kate Forbes was saying yesterday, we only get what we get from Westminster. So we really can't get any more than that. And the other element of that is that the UK government's block grant that Scotland gets has been cut 5.2% from last year. So you can imagine there's a limited sum of money. So then for Labour politicians and Tory politicians who actually implement these cuts at Westminster to turn around and say Kate Forbes is doing the wrong thing by making these cuts, it is a little bit ironic. And of course, these cuts are really serious and they will have serious consequences. But the way to address them really is for Scotland to have more powers.
Yeah, well, exactly. And well, we've got First Minister's questions coming up today. It's usually on a Thursday. Today it's on the Wednesday this week. Do we think, how much is this going to dominate First Minister's questions today? What do you think?
I think there's a good chance that Douglas Ross will go quite hard on it. Obviously, it's great for their base because they want to argue that the Scottish Government is spending too much time talking about independence and too much money working on independence. But as we've just talked about, in reality, this 20 million is not a huge percentage. And it's not like we have a grand white paper yet or anything. So I'm not 100% sure that their argument is particularly convincing. But to the sort of 20 to 25% of people who vote Scottish Tory in Scotland, it will be quite convincing, and it will get them quite enthused and quite riled up against the Scottish Government, which is what the Scottish Tories want. Anna Sarwar, I expect, could talk about it, but he's more likely to go on the ongoing ScotRail negotiations. the 4.2% pay rise opportunity has gone to the union now, so we're still waiting to hear back on that. But I think Anas Sarwar has really led on the ScotRail disruption in recent weeks, and I would expect him to continue that because he prefers to sort of stay out of, well, he likes it to seem like he's staying out of constitutional arguments anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're spot on, but we'll see in about an hour what's going to go down at FMQs today. I guess moving from Scotland to sort of Westminster, Project Save Boris is underway. What another big name from the UK government. Now it's at least 30 Tory MPs have spoken out publicly against Boris Johnson. We're sort of edging closer to a potential no confidence vote. There's chat that there could be one next week. What do you think? Do you think that'll happen?
Yeah, I think a no confidence vote is pretty inevitable at this point. I think when you're looking at so many Tories on the record saying that Boris should go, there's surely a couple sort of lurking around in the shadows who submitted those letters but don't actually want to make it public. Yeah. So I think that we'll probably hit that. Is it 54 letters required?
54.
Yeah, if this trickle of letters and calls for him to go keeps coming at this pace, even though it is only 3-4 a day at the moment, that will be quite worrying because it only takes another couple of days of that to reach that 54 limit. So I think that things are a little bit sketch for Boris at the moment. However, I wouldn't get your hopes up about this actually being the thing that ousts him, because we need 180 Tory MPs to vote for him to go, and I really, really can't see that happening. Nobody will want to be prime minister right now. It's an absolutely awful time to lead the country. Obviously, Douglas Ross would argue that the biggest issue facing the UK would be Ukraine, but there's obviously the cost of living crisis as well. And no Conservative government is really going to want to spend lots and lots and lots more money on that, especially because for their base, they want to see them cutting back on government spending. So I don't think there's anybody absolutely chomping at the bit in the Tory party to take over from Boris right now. It is a bit of a poison chalice. So the reality is we'll probably get to a no confidence vote this summer, but I'm not convinced at all that he would lose it. And of course, if he wins that no confidence vote, it's another 12 months. He's protected, he's safe, unless he chooses to step down. And if there's one thing about Boris, he is a pretty stubborn guy. So I think that no confidence vote will have the consequence of actually securing his position for a good year.
I agree. I read this morning that some Tory MPs are worried that if it goes to a no confidence vote and he wins it, it might sort of trigger Boris Johnson to hold another general election. But I wouldn't be holding my breath for that. I don't think that'll happen. But it's all quite interesting. The magic number at the moment is 54. But obviously, if we reach 54 letters of no confidence, the magic number jumps all the way up to 180. And that is really quite a shift. So Project Save Boris, the no confidence vote, we're edging closer, but don't get your hopes up.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'll be most interested to keep an eye on the Scottish Tories and see what they're saying. So far, not a single one.
Nothing. Silence is golden.
Exactly. Tumbleweed floating through. They're not saying anything. I know there's a couple of them. I believe David Duguid and John Lamont a couple of months ago were saying, we're going to wait and see what the Sue Gray report says. Well, Sue Gray's report is there. So what are you saying? We want to hear from you. It's funny because they really have nothing to lose by speaking out against Boris. Boris is absolutely detested in Scotland, even in very conservative constituencies. He is not well liked. So you can imagine their constituents are thinking, what the hell? Why are they sticking up for this guy? Yeah. We know like 2/3 of Britons in general want Boris to step down over Partygate. So this sort of blind loyalty to Westminster is certainly not doing them any favours. I think it was Adam Tompkins, the former Scottish Tory MSP, who said if the Scottish Tories officially keep backing Boris, it is going to be the end of the party and they will be in terminal decline.
Yeah, well, watch out for that. On a lighter note, we've got it's Jubilee Week. So that's, exciting.
For some, I
For
suppose.
some, for others, not so much. But we'll be bringing you all the very latest on, what's sort of happening with the Jubilee celebrations in Scotland. Not many from what we've seen, but we'll keep you updated. And we've also got Scotland versus Ukraine tonight. So that'll be a tough match. It's been described as a bittersweet. A Scottish victory has been described as sort of a bittersweet victory. But yeah, so hopefully we're wishing all the players good luck, I think, from the national.
Absolutely. But we cannot not say that we would be looking forward to Scotland making it through to the World Cup.
No, we can't. We would love to see it. We'd love to see it. We'll have Ali's Tartan Army blasting out in the office today.
Yeah, I think it's already on. I think you can hear it.
Yeah, you can hear it. Right, well, we actually better get back to work. It's going to be a busy day. Join us at 12 for First Minister's Questions. We'll be streaming it live on all of our social media platforms.
It's at 2:20 today.
It's at 2:20. Thank you, Laura. Join us at 2:20 for First Minister's Questions. And we've got a 30-day free trial at the moment. So sign up on our website and you'll get access to all of our premium content. We bring you loads of good, amazing premium content every day, from everything on politics, but also sort of Scottish culture, history, sport. So sign up today. And thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Sophie.
Bye.